How's it going, y'all? Time Smash MTG, and today we're here for everybody's favorite time of the year. It is 10 new decks of new standard, but not just any standard, because rotation is finally here. Yorion is gone. All these cards we've hated for so long and wanted to leave are finally gone, and it's a brand new, fresh standard. We love it. Now, we have got to get used to this new standard a little bit because of the standard 2022 queue, but we can now play this new standard in best of 3, so it really is like a brand new world. So I'm not going to waste much time here. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. It would help me a lot. Really appreciate that, as always. I'm trying to not focus on existing decks in the stand. Like, there's already Mono Green and Prismari Dragons and that kind of thing. Try to not talk about those kind of things as much in here. I'll have another video where I go and upgrade each existing deck that's already at the top of the archetype already. But we're talking about 10 new, brand new decks for this thing. So let's go ahead and quit yapping. Again, subscription. Please subscribe if you can. Really helps a lot. Enough talking here. Let's look at some new decks for MTG. Midnight Hunt. INNISTRAD, baby. Let's go. Deck number 1. Alright, y'all. So it's INNISTRAD. We got werewolves running all around. So we got to start off with some wolves here. So we got some WereGruulves. And if I see or hear y'all calling it anything other than WereGruulves, you're wrong. WereGruulves it is. Let's start here at the 1-drop slot. We're playing a whole playset of Snarling Wolf. This is the 1-mana 1/1 that you can pay 1 in the green to activate it. Give it +2/+2 to end of turn. You can only do this once per turn, but it's really nice to know that every time late in the game, if you have this little mana sink to pump it into, it's a 1-mana 3/3, and if not, it's still a 1-mana 1/1, which is kind of what you come to expect a lot of times. So a whole playset of that. So we have a whole playset of Kessig Naturalist. This is the 2-mana 2/2 human werewolf. Whenever it attacks, you add red or green, and until end of turn, you don't lose mana as its phase and steps end. That's on the daybound side. On the nightbound side, you go Lord of the Ulvenwald. It turns into a 3/3 werewolf. Other wolves or werewolves you control get +1/+1. Nice. Whenever it attacks, you add red or green, and until end of turn, you don't lose that mana as phase and steps ends. So you're either getting all this mana to ramp up on the daybound side, then on the nightbound side, you have a Lord for your werewolves. This card is super sick. Very good reason to play werewolves. We're playing 4 of this here. Whole playset of Werewolf Pack Leader. We already know how good this card is. Usually I'm a little bit reluctant to play double green cards in a Gruul shell, but this is Werewolves. It's such a good card. We already know what this card does. Easy 4 of. Another sweet werewolf here at the 3-drop slot is Reckless Stormseeker. You're going to see in these videos that I absolutely love this card. One of my favorite cards from this whole set. Stormseeker is 2 and a red for a 2/3 creature human werewolf. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. So you can give this thing haste and make it a 3/3 with haste. Or you play this, and then every other turn you play your werewolf down and immediately give him a buff and haste. That's daybound. What if we go to the nightbound side? Ooh. On the nightbound side, we have Stormcharge Slasher. This is a 3/4 werewolf. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +2/+0 and trample and haste at the end of turn. God, this card's just so good, and it's a werewolf, so it gets all the other additional synergies. I love this. This is so good. Another 3-drop creature we have here is Tovalor Dire Overlord. Human werewolf, you guessed it. Whenever werewolf or werewolf you control does combat damage to a player, draw a card. Nice. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 3 or more wolves and or werewolves, it becomes night. Then transform any number of human werewolves you control. This is just, it's so good. Backside of this, Tovalar the Midnight Scourge is a 4/4 werewolf. Whenever wolf or werewolf you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. You play X, red and a green. Target wolf or werewolf you control gets +X/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. The stats and bodies on these things are absolutely pushed. This is just right up my alley, man. This looks so fun. So we're playing a 3 of Primal Adversary here. This card is just ridiculous, and one of the later ones kind of got spoiled. So it's a 3-mana 4/3 with Wolf with Trample. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay 1 in a green any number of times. When you pay this cost 1 or more times, put that many +1/+1 counters on Primal Adversary. Then, up to that many target lands you control become 3/3 wolf creatures with haste that are still lands. Insane. So a 3-mana 4/3 with Trample on its own is already fine. Let's say you pay 5 mana, you got a 5/4 Trample that's making a 3/3. Whew! Card's good. Back to some more familiar cards we know of. A whole playset of Blizzard Brawl here. We're not playing a ton of Snowlands. I think we're playing 9, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 Snowlands. Not a ton of them, but you see the bodies on these creatures are going to be big enough anyway. I don't think having indestructibles is the end of the world if you don't have 3 Snowlands. But we still play 11. You can still have it happen, and when you do, easy, clean fight spell there. Whole playset of Rangers class, we already know how good this is in Standard 2022. The fact that it makes a wolf token when it comes to the battlefield is just icing on the cake right there. A one of Lunar Frenzy, my personal little Embercleave there, my preview card. Had to throw it in here. I actually think it works really well in this shell. I had more of it, but I ended up cutting it down. We may not want any of this in here, but with the bodies and how we get these cards doing damage, I think having one of these to have trample is really nice. Especially since you, again, just do 1 minute to get something trample, and then with some of these cards, you're drawing a card and things of that nature. Last card of the deck, and the most spicy one, is Arlen the Pack's Hope. So the front side of Arlen the Pack's Hope here, it's a 4-mana Planeswalker, +1. Until your next turn, you may cast creature spells as though they had flash, and each creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. I like that. You can -3 this thing, and you can create 2 green werewolf tokens. So 2 different 2/2 werewolves when it comes to the battlefield means it has an easy way to protect itself. Super nice there. Let's look at the backside for Nightbound. We have Arlen the Moon's Fury, +2, add red and a green. 0, and so end of turn, Arlen the Moon's Fury becomes a 5/5 werewolf with trample, indestructible, and haste. Woo! Son, I think werewolves actually has a chance to be really good. This tribe, unlike many others we see in a lot of these sets, like they have some neat little toys, but werewolf scenes push, man. So I could see it not being the thing, but I am going to try it out because it's right up my alley. So that's what we got here for WereGruulves. I hope they work out. Let's take a look at deck number 2. Alright, deck number 2 here, we're keeping it tribal. And you know, you got those wolves in INNISTRAD, but you also got some zombies. Gonna cut it off there. We got some Dimir Zombies. Take a look at the 1-drop slot here. We're playing a whole playset of Shambling Ghast. Already seen a ton of play in Standard 2022. The fact that it can kill something when it dies or make a treasure token to ramp you is nice. But let's talk about our new friend here, the best name in the whole set, Champion of the Perished. This is a 1-mana 1/1 zombie. Whenever another zombie enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Champion of the Perished. Love the callback to Champion of the Perished. This is an excellent 1-drop here. Exactly what this deck needs. At the 2-drop slot, we're playing a whole playset of Blade Stitch Scab. This is a 2/3 for 2. Other zombies you control get +1/+0. A semi-lure because it doesn't give them increased toughness. But at those starts where you can go turn 1 Champion of the Perished, turn this, you have your Blade Stitch Scab, and you're attacking with a 3/2 on turn 2. It's really nice. Going to have some good aggressive starts with this. So we're playing a whole playset of Tainted Adversary here. Great card on its own, just a 2-mana 2/3 at Death Touch. But when it enters battlefield, you may pay 2 and a black any number of times. When you pay this cost 1 or more times, put that many +1/+1 counters on Tainted Adversary, then create that many 2/2 black zombie creature tokens with Decayed. So you're telling me you got a 2/3 Death Touch early on, which is already a very solid body. Late game, you're making this bigger, a better blocker and attacker, and you're getting some Decay tokens. It's too good, man. It's so good. So Tainted Adversary, easy 4 of. Card that saw a little bit of play here in Standard 2022 is White. This is 1 of the black 3/2 Zombie Soldier. Enters the battlefield tapped. Life Drain. Whenever a creature dealt damage by White this turn dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token and exile that card. So people want to chump block this, probably not a good decision. They want to trade this in combat, you're going to leave behind a 2/2. White is right for this deck, and we're going to make it work. Almost skipped over this. We're playing 2 Yadar, Ghoulcaller of Nephalia. Hopefully I'm saying that all right. This is a 2-mana 1/1 human wizard, not a zombie, but at the beginning of your end step, if you control no creatures with Decayed, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. So you make this token, you send it in there to attack. If it dies, it doesn't really matter because your end step, you just make another zombie. Love this card. If they don't have interaction held up on turn 2, you're playing this and making a zombie on the same turn. It's just super good. So we're playing that as a 2 up there because it's legendary. Final creature in the deck here. Seen this one before. We're playing a whole playset of Narfi, Betrayer King. Others, snow and zombie creatures you control get +1/+1. You can pay 3 snow to return it from the graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Love this card. Love that it's recursive. Zombie lore is what we want. It's an easy 4 of, I think. One kind of weird one playing here. We're playing 2 Ghoulish Procession. This is a 2-mana enchantment. Whenever 1 or more non-token creatures die, create a 2/2 zombie token with Decayed. I know it seems simple there, but you're going to have your creatures remove in combat a lot here, and it's kind of nice to like, hey, they use your removal on this zombie, or you get another one here. And granted, it's Decayed. It's not going to stay on the battlefield forever, but the fact that you can kind of, it's so in flavor of zombies that they just regurgitate and keep on entering the battlefield. That's more triggers for your other stuff. It's just a really good thing. I think 2 of this here is just right. Rounding out the deck here, we're playing 2 Lull Spider Queen, a whole playset of Bloodchief's Thirst, some Agony and Wiccan in the land slot, and finally 3 of Crippling Fear. Love having a one-sided board wipe on our side. Ben and Black gives us that possibility to do that. So 3 of Crippling Fear, easy peasy. The rest of this is just lands, nothing too wild here. I love just the versatility this deck has. You can play a lot of creatures. You can cut down on the creatures and planeswalkers if you wanted to, and then just play some more removal if you want. A lot of different ways to build this, but I think Dimir Zombies is actually kind of sweet. So that's Dimir Zombies. Let's look at deck number 3. Let's go. Alright, y'all, deck number 3 here. We're going to try to delve a little bit deeper into these new decks with some Delver for Secrets, some Izzet spells. Starting off here at the 1-drop slot, of course, we're playing a whole play set of Delver for Secrets. Now, with the double-face lands and spells we kind of have here, we get to cheat on this stuff a little bit. I know a lot of people are kind of doubtful that this will work in Standard because there's not the ways you can kind of look at this in Legacy and these older formats to make sure you can kind of guaranteed flip it. We're playing like 27 or 28, I think, different ways to flip this thing on turn 2. Mainly because of all these lands we're playing. Now, we are only playing 13 traditional lands. All of our other lands are things like Shadow Skull Smashing and these cards that are double-faced. But this allows us to kind of have the land drops we need to hit our lands, but also ways to flip Delver Secrets. Maybe I don't have this quite right number-wise where it needs to go, but we're playing a whole 4 of here. You get the picture. Delver Secrets, possibly have a 3-2 attacker on turn 2. Nice. One that I'm trying out that I'm not 100% sure about, but we're playing a whole playset of Smoldering Egg. If anybody played Thing of the Ice, you know what this kind of card does here, but Smoldering Egg is a 0-4 defender for 2 mana. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, put a number of Ember counters on Smoldering Egg equal to the amount of mana used to cast a spell. Then, Smoldering Egg has 7 or more Ember counters on it, remove them, and transform Smoldering Egg. This turns it into Ashmouth Dragon, which is a 4-4 flyer. Anytime you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it deals 2 damage to any target. So this is kind of like Thing in the Ice in the way, by the time you probably cast 3 to 4 spells, you're flipping this thing. Then you get a threat that can kind of end the game there. And if you have all these other spells in your deck to play, anytime you play a spell, you're doing 2 damage to stuff. So you're knocking down these blockers, you're killing attackers that are trying to come after you, or you're just pinging the face and getting really aggressive with them. So Smoldering Egg here doing his Thing in the Ice. I guess it's Thing in the Egg or Egg in the Ice. I don't know. Maybe Thing in the Fire. But a whole 4 of these in here. Playing a whole playset of Thermo Alchemist. If anybody hasn't played or seen this already, it's a 2-mana defender. Tap it to deal 1 damage to each opponent. Anytime you cast an instant or sorcery spell, untap it. Playing a whole playset of Puppet Stitcher here. 2-3 for 3. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 2-2 black zombie creature with Decayed. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 3 or more creature tokens, you may transform Puppet Stitcher. Love the synergy on this. When you this turns it into Puppet Factory. Creature tokens you control lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 3-3. So all of your decayed zombies become 3/3s that are no longer decayed. So they don't die when they attack. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may transform it to Puppet Factory. You may transform Puppet Factory if you want to, but you don't have to. So, and I love that too because you use Puppet Stitcher, you make all the tokens you want and transform it, and then later on, say those tokens have died, anything happens, you can transform Puppet Factory back to the Stitcher, redo it again. I think this card is fantastic. We want to play a lot of spells that do this. We have over 26, 27 spells in this deck. So a lot of ways to make this work. Playing 2 Vadrik Astral Archmage. This is a 3-mana 1/2 legendary human wizard. If it's neither day nor night, it becomes day as it enters the battlefield. Instant and sorcery spells you control cost X less to cast, where X is Vadrik's power. Nice. Whenever day becomes night or night becomes day, put a +1/+1 counter on Vadrik. This could get really out of control because even though our deck doesn't care about day or night so much, like you saw the Wolves deck, how much it does care about that. If somebody has a strategy trying to do that thing, they're going to be accidentally just powering this up too, making your spells so much cheaper to cast. So I actually love this and think it's going to be really good in here. Playing 2 Dimlik from the last set, it never really impressed me. You had to work super hard to make it work. But I think as a 2 of them this kind of shell, we can try it out. And if it sucks, we just take it out. Not a big deal. Finally, the top end for creatures, we're playing 1 Galazeth Prismari. We have plenty of instant and sorcery we want to cast. Having this mana be able to do that and use it to cast those instant sorcery spells is nice. Looking at spells here, we're playing a whole playset of Consider, which is the new and improved op here. Look at the top card of your library. You may put that card into your graveyard, draw a card. Nice. Whole playset of Play with Fire and improved Shock. 2 damage to any target, and if a player is dealt damage this way, scry 1. Nice. 2 Spikefield Hazard, 4 Expressive Iteration, 3 Shadow Skull Smashing, 2 Solid Coming, 2 Orange Epiphany, 3 Seagate Restoration, and 2 Magma Opus. So again, we have a lot of different kind of double-faced lands there to help hit. It's nice that we can hit our land drops while also triggering Delver of Secrets there. Is the numbers quite right on there? I'm not 100% sure, but it's worth checking out to see. But that's his spells. Let's take a look at deck number 4. Alright, so deck number 4 we got here is Selesnya Humans. INNISTRAD may be spooky, but there's still humans on this plane. Let's start it off here. No 1-drops in this deck, because there's just not a ton of good 1-drops in the human spot we really wanted here. I'm playing a whole playset of Intemperate Adversary here. 2 mana 3/1 lifelink, which is already fine on its own. But when it enters the battlefield, you may pay 1 to white any number of times. When you pay this cost 1 or more times, put that many Valor counters on Intemperate Adversary. Creatures you can control get +1/+1 for each Valor counter on it. So for 4 mana, this is a 4/2 with lifelink that bumps your team +1/+1. Say late game you got 6 mana. This is a 6 mana 5/3 with lifelink that's giving everything +2/+2. It's just super good. And one thing to note here, if it works the way I think it doesn't say other creatures you control. It just says creatures you control get +1/+1. So if you pay 4 mana, I guess you'd actually be getting a 5/4 already, or a 5/3 already. That's really stupid good. So easy 4 up there, even at the 2 mana slot by itself, it's still fine. We're playing a whole playset, even though it's legendary, a whole playset of Catilda, Dawnheart, Headwitch. These names are a mouthful, man. Green and white, 1/1, human warlock, protection from werewolves. Each human you control has tap to add 1 mana of any of this creature's colors. You can pay 4 white and tap it, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. As you'll see as we go through this deck, we're playing some kind of big creatures as we go up the curve here and some big spells. So this helps us ramp up to those a little bit faster. Cryptolith Light, sorry for the split there. A Cryptolith Right on a body is super fantastic. I think we easily play 4 of this thing. Whole playset of Luminarch Aspirant. To no one's surprise, this card is really good and still very strong. You want to play 4 of it. Playing 3 of Adeline, Resplendent, Cathar. This is a 3 mana, star and a 4, Vigilance, Human Knight. Its power and toughness is equal to the creatures you control. So by itself, it's just a 1/4, which isn't super exciting. But whenever you attack, for each opponent, create a 1/1 white human creature token that's tapped and attacking that player or a planeswalker they control. So you're generating a body every combat step you attack with this thing. We're playing other humans in the deck already. This thing can get out of control really fast. Love this card. Trying out 2 Augur of Autumn here. This seems like a kind of boring Courser of Kruphix, but these effects are usually pretty good. 3 mana 2/3. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play lands from the top of your library. And if Coven, if you have 3 different creatures with power that are different, then you can cast creature spells from the top of your library as well. Again, we're trying to make a bunch of different creatures in this deck, so I think we can get Coven decently easy in this deck. And if so, then you're playing creatures and lands off the top, and that is sick. Because you have things like Realm Walker where you can play the creatures, but that's all. I like the ability to possibly play lands as well, just to kind of really turn through that deck. Whole playset of Elite Spellbinder, still a great card, no one's surprised there. Playing 3 of Sigarda, Champion of Light. This is a 4 mana 4/4 Flying Trample Angel. Humans you control get +1/+1. By itself, I mean, a 4 mana 4/4 Flying Trample that buffs things, that's insane. Coven, whenever it attacks, if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a human creature from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Card is gas. Absolutely want to play a bunch of this. Again, we can ramp up to this with Catilda, so I really like this card a lot. Closing off the top end here, we're playing 2 Maja, Beredagard, Protector. Other creature you control with +1/+1. When the land enters the battlefield, you're making another human token. Super nice there. And a really spicy one here is 2 of Sigardian Savior. 3 mana flyer for 5. Whenever it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, return up to 2 target creature cards with a mana value 2 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. Somebody kill your Catilda, bring it back. Somebody kill your Luminarch Aspirant, bring it back. Somebody kill your Intemperate Adversary, bring it back. This card is sweet. Just playing the 2 of here because of the mana cost, but the way we can ramp up to it with this deck, we can actually probably play it before turn 5, and that's super nice. Last 2 spells here, we're playing a whole playset of Join the Dance, just making, 2 mana, make 2 1/1s, and have Flashback is really nice. I think the Flashback makes us playable enough. Just a late game, you have this thing to play if you really need to. And we're playing 2 Sneak into the Festival here. This is a 6 mana sorcery, kind of like Big Coco. You look at the top 5 cards of your library, put up to 2 permanent cards with mana value 5 or less from among them into the battlefield. So maybe you hit a Sigardian Savior and a Maja off this, or a Sigarda Champion of Light and a Maja, and all of a sudden you buff your team like crazy and your attacks get really scary. I love this card, just 2 of it. Again, we ramp up a lot in this deck with the Catilda if we can do that, so I think this is worth trying out here. So that's Selesnya Humans. Not a ton of interaction is the only thing I may be missing. But if these creatures go wide and as tall as they can, then I don't think it matters as much. So there it is. Selesnya Humans. Let's take a look at deck number 5. All right, y'all. Next up, we have some Boros Burn. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. This is a good little mix of creatures and burn spells here. Playing a whole playset of Falcon Wrath Pit Fighter. This is the 1 mana 2/1. You can pay 1 and a red to discard a card, sacrifice a vampire, draw 2 cards. Activate this only if opponent lost life this turn. I'm not exactly playing a ton of vampires in this deck, but the fact that we can sacrifice this thing if we needed to and draw 2 is really good. And just on its face, it's still a 2/1 for 1, which is already fine. So playset of that. Whole playset of Fireblade Charger. Boring, I know, but there's ways to buff this up and have it do extra damage there. Still a solid 1-drop here. Play a playset of it. Whole playset of Bloodthirsty Adversary. Another vampire, which can be sacked to Falcon Wrath Pit Fighter if we needed to. This is a 2 mana, 2/2 haste. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay 2 and a red any number of times. When you pay this cost 1 or more times, put that many +1/+1 counters on Bloodthirsty Adversary, and then exile up to that many target instant and or sorcery cards with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard and copy them. You may cast any number of copies without paying their mana cost. I am literally going to die from reading all these because they're so mouthy and wordy. So it's still just a 2/2 for 2 haste already on its face, which is fine. The fact that you can buff this up late game and then get some free spell value from it is super nice, though. So, Bloodthirsty Adversary, easy for us. We've already talked about this card, but playing a whole playset of Reckless Stormseeker, again, just a really good card in these kind of shells. This doesn't really care about the spells as much, but the fact that you can give these creatures haste and just to smack in and deal damage to the face is what you want to do. Playing a 4 of here. But finally, let's talk about the card that actually inspired this whole deck here. A whole playset, even though it's legendary, a whole playset of Rim Carless Stalwart Slayer. This is a 3 mana, 2/3, flying and haste human knight. If a spell would deal damage to you or another permanent you control, prevent that damage. So we got a little Tajik thing going on. If a spell would deal damage to an opponent or permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage +1 instead. So your shocks become lightning bolts. Your magic missiles become triple shocks, I guess. 2/2/2. This thing's super nice. It's the 2/3 flying haste already, which is fine. Just a lot of different things we can do with this card. So keep that in mind when we're looking at the rest of these instant sorceries here. Whole playset of Play with Fire. It's already shocked with a better value on it. The fact that you have it to possibly be a lightning bolt with better value is insane. 3 Spikefield Hazard. Do 2 damage to anything if you have Stalwart out there. If not, it's that land when you need it. We're just being something down for 1. So really nice there. 2 Royal Eruption. Do 3 to the face for 2 mana, but possibly 4, possibly 6 with that kicker cost on there. Late game if we get there. Playing a whole playset of Sacred Fire. I don't love this card, but the fact that it has flashback does mean late game you do kind of have that end game coming towards them. So it's like a mini Lightning Helix, but with flashbacks. So we'll try it out and see how it goes. It may be too small for the format, but you never know until you try. Some Shatter Skull Smashing here. Again, that cost reduction can get really nice with this. 2 Angel Fire Ignition. I actually love this card, and I don't know if it'll be good at all. Feather. Feather is still in standard. Man, talk about the value here. 1 red and a white sorcery. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. It gains Vigilance, Trample, Lifelink, Indestructible, and Haste. Just super good. And it has Flashback for 4 mana. So you can do this next 1 turn. They get the shields down again. You just do it again. Put 2 more counters on there. Do all this stuff. Insane, man. Insane. Playing a whole playset of Magic Missile. This card obviously is an amazing card. But this card, I think, more than anything, is just really good with Rim Carless because you can do 1 damage, 1 damage, 1 damage to everything. And that actually turns into 2 damage, 2 damage, 2 damage. So for 3 mana, super good there. Finally, just 2 Amaria's Call for land/spells should we need them. So that's all you got here for some Boros Burns. Hopefully it's a good enough mixture of creatures and burn where you can kind of get that damage down and get them in there. We just have to play with it, see if we need adjustments or not. So that's Boros Burn. Let's take a look at the next deck. Let's go. All right, y'all. Next up, we have to satisfy these control lords, I guess, and play a little bit of control here. So here's some Esper Control. Starting off here at the 1-drop slot, 4 Consider. Again, it's just a better op. Why wouldn't we play it? It's an easy 4 from these kind of decks. Going to try out 2 Faithful Mending. I'm not sure how good this card actually is. It's a blue and a white instant. You gain 2 life, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards, but it does have flashback. So the fact that you gain some life, I think, does make this playable. Draw 2, discard 2 is amazing, but you know those game 1s are really important whenever you kind of don't know what the matchup is. They play some cards, you kind of see, oh, maybe I don't need these sweepers after all. Ditch those sweepers, draw you some more cards against some of the control mirror, that kind of thing. The fact you can flash it back for 3, also really good value. Playing 2 Infernal Grasp here. This is just a kill anything, 1 in a white, or sorry, 1 in a black. Words are hard. Instant, destroy target creature, you lose 2 life. We have multiple ways to gain life in this deck. I don't think it's going to hurt us too bad. Infernal Grass killing anything, I think, makes it better than Power Word Kill. So, play this as a 2 of, could possibly be more. Playing 2 Jwari Disruption and 2 Negate here. Have a little bit of counter magic going on. A little bit of Vanishing versus a 2 of here as well. Exile any monocolored permanent. 4 of Solid Culling. Nothing we haven't seen here before. So let's talk about an interesting one here. This is a 3 of Memory Deluge. This is a 4 mana instant. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast a spell. Put 2 of them into your hand and put the rest into the bottom of your library in any order. Flashback for 7. This card is great because just on its face, you're playing this fairly. This is Scry 4, Draw 2 essentially, which is way better rate than what we're already used to getting in these cards. Say if somebody has Elite Spellbinder, they make you pay more for it. Well, now you're scrying 6 and drawing 2. With your flashback, you're paying 7, scry 7, draw 2. Obviously, with cost reduction cards, this does get a little bit worse. But even if you reduce the cost of this by 2, you're still scrying 2 and draw 2, which is what we always do anyways. So, Memory Deluge seems fantastic. I'm playing that as a 3 of here, but it may just have to be a 4. So we got to have some board wipes in here. So we're playing 2 Blood on the Snow. But let's talk about the spicy inclusion. We're playing a 2 of the Meat Hook Massacre, which, by the way, is the most fantastic Magic card name I have ever heard. The Meat Hook Massacre, X black legendary enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, each creature gets -X until end of turn. Then it has the abilities of whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life, and whenever a creature an opponent control dies, you gain 1 life. I love this, the fact that it's legendary, because if you need to wipe the board again, you just wipe it again, and then you still just get the same effect sticking around in the battlefield. Probably a good thing that these can't stack, but it's nice that you can wipe the field and then have this Blood Arts effect kind of tied onto it. So the 2 of it there, but it may have to be more. This seems super sweet to me. We're playing 1 Seagate Restoration to top it off, and 4 Alrund's Epiphany. Let's go ahead and talk Planeswalkers now. We're playing 2 of the new Teferi. This is Teferi, who slows the sunset. This is a 4 mana, 4 loyalty Planeswalkers. Let's slow this down. +1, choose up to 1 target artifact, up to 1 target creature, and up to 1 target land. Untap the chosen permanents that you control. Tap the chosen permanents that you don't control. You gain 2 life. It's an okay +1. It's not amazing, but I like that it can untap something for you if you need to. Especially if you have an artifact and a land out there. The fact that you can play this, hold up 2 mana again to hold up removal or negate or something is really nice. -2, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. -7, you get an emblem with untap all permanents you control during each opponent's untap step, and you draw a card during each opponent's draw step. So for 4 mana there, I think it's a pretty sweet Planeswalker. I will say that it can't protect itself hardly at all, which is really bad. If the permanents you were tapping stayed untapped on the other side, then I'd like this a lot better. But I still want to try it out as a 2 of. Finally, in the Planeswalker slot, we have 2 Lolth and 2 Mordenkainen at the top end. So I like the fact that you can go to Fairy, into Lolth, into Mordenkainen, and from there, if you're doing that, you probably just won the game already. But that's Esper Control. Different ways to win here. Plenty of removal, plenty of counter spells. Just so many options. Just depends on what the meta does. Let's take a look at another deck. Let's go. Alright, so now we're back on the Gruul train once again. This time, we're just going to do some more traditional Gruul, because I wanted to show you what this looks like compared to WereGruulves. A really neat 1-drop that Gruul got, I think this set is Death Bonnet Sprout. This is a 1 mana 1/1 at the beginning of your upkeep, mill a card. Then if there are 3 or more creature cards in your graveyard, transform it. This turns it into Death Bonnet Hulk, which is a 3/3, so you potentially have a very easy 3/3 1 mana card. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile a card from your graveyard. If a creature card is exiled this way, put a +1/+1 counter on Death Bonnet Hulk. This is the most value I've seen for a 1-drop since probably Night of the Ebon Legion. As far as how fast and easy this can draw, this card seems super good. Easy 4 of. Can't be playing some Gruul without 4 of Despair Sentinel. It's just such a fantastic card. Easy 4 of is there as well. Playing 2 Magda, Brazen Outlaw. The fact that we play Despair Sentinel, these 2 combo really well together. Ramp it up. We're playing a whole playset of Kazandu Mammoth, a big creature, but also land if we need it. Whole playset of Reckless Stormseeker. I'm tired of talking about this card, but it's really just so good. Playing 2 Gnarled Professor here. I don't love this card, but if you're playing best of 1, I'd actually probably play a whole 4 of just to get that sideboard access. But I do like that even in the best of 3, you can throw a couple of your learn cards in there and have some things to pull from it, which is nice. Finally, the top end here, we're playing a whole playset of Goldspan Dragon, baby. We got some decent cards to ramp up with here, so Goldspan Dragon I think is really nice. I'm playing 2 Arlen the Pack's Hope here. I know it seems kind of weird, but it's not a werewolf shell. But the fact that this can still just come down to make 2 different 2/2s is kind of a Mysticus Chariot-like effect, which we're already playing 4 of us in this deck anyways. This just gives you a little bit more versatility and ways to do that kind of thing. So I think all of the Pack's Hope is actually really nice here. Closing it out with the spells here, we're playing a whole playset of Rangers class, 3 Blizzard Brawl, and 2 Lunar Frenzy. Because we're Gruul, baby. We believe in the cleave. The cleave has left us. So instead, we will Frenzy to the death. I don't know, man. Let's take a look at the next deck, though. Let's go. All right, so continuing down the mostly mid-range chain here, we have some Orzhov Midrange. Let's take a look at this deck here. Starting off here, whole playset of Shambling Ghast. Again, just one of the best cards in Standard. For a 1-mana card that can kill something and make a treasure token. You know we about that. We're playing 3 Yadar, Ghoul Color of Nephalia. We already talked about this one. Making a 2/2 zombie with decay on every end step that you don't control something with decay. Very nice. So we're playing 3 of that here. Whole playset of Tainted Adversary. Again, we've already talked about this one. But the fact the late game it gets better and early game is still a 2/3 Death Touch for 2 is sweet. I'm trying out 2 Brutal Cathar here. Don't think we talked about this one yet, but this is a Human Soldier Werewolf. 3 mana 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, it transforms into Brutal Cathar. Exile target creature and opponent controls until this creature leaves the battlefield. So it's kind of doing a Skyclave Apparition impersonation. So I'm splitting 2/2 between Skyclave and this. That's when it's daybound. When it's nightbound, it's a 3/3 the first strike, and you can have ward to pay 3 life. So it's really weird because on one hand, it doesn't like get rid of their permanent forever, which is worse than Skyclave Apparition. But you can kind of flip back and forth between Moonrage Brute and Brutal Cathar, and they won't get the creature back. So you could exile multiple things with this. And when it is flipped over on the Moonrage Brute side, you have that ward to just pay 3 life and counter something. So I think this card may be better than Skyclave Apparition. That's saying a lot. Same body, easier cost to cast, a lot more upside here. So is it good enough? I'm not sure, but I'm going to try it out as a 2/2 split with it and see. Whole playset of Elite Spellbinder, still a fantastic card. 2 Redain, God of the Worthy, still a fantastic card. We're trying 2 Gisa, Glorious Resurrector. This is a 4 mana 4/4 legendary creature. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile that instead. At the beginning of your upkeep, put all creature cards exile the Gisa Glorious Resurrector onto the battlefield under your control, and they gain Decayed. So on one hand, you don't get to keep these things forever, but you're still exiling the creatures, which that by itself is already good. You're doing a little bit of Kalidas type of action. But the fact that you can bring these things back, they still have their same bodies. Even if they are decayed, you're still getting those ETBs, all the kind of stuff here. I think this card's kind of sweet, so we're playing as a 3 of. Finally, the top end of creatures, we're playing 2 Lisa, Forgotten Archangel. This card is so good. This is a 5 mana 4/5 flying lifelink, which is fine by itself already. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, return that card to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. Again, one-sided exile effects on their side of the board is super nice. This lets you kind of just not be afraid of playing into a Wrath because you just bring everything back and try it again. This card seems super, super good to me. So playing this as a 3 of here just because it's legendary, otherwise it'd be a 4 of. Finally, in the spells, we're playing 4 Bloodchief's Thirst, 2 Infernal Grasp, and 2 Poison the Cup for removal. Again, you can kind of change these things however you want. But I really like the feel of this deck. The fact that you kind of get to just play this beatdown and playing with your creatures. But they all kind of have these ways to either exile things or remove things when they come in. Elite Spellbinder taxes things, Redain taxes things. You're just kind of playing this straightforward beatdown plan that interacts by itself. So Orzhov Midrange, I think, can be really, really good. So next up here, we have some Simic Ramp. And granted, this is already an existing archetype in Standard 2022, which I said I'd kind of save for another video. But we did have some things I wanted to show off on this one, which I think is pretty neat. This list is based pretty heavily on ArenaCraft podcast list. So if you don't know them already, check them out. Looking at this, we'll kind of fly through this one because there's not a ton of new cards, but I do like the new cards that come in here. Whole playset of Neverwinter Dryad, whole playset of Prosperous Innkeeper, whole playset of Quandrix Cultivator, 2 Ashaya Soul the Wild. Talk about a new card here though, 2 Consuming Blob. This is a 5 mana star and a star +1 ooze. Consuming Blob's power is equal to the number of card types among cards in your graveyard, and its toughness is equal to that number +1. We have instants, sorceries, creatures, even some lands. So we have quite a few ways to make this bigger. At the beginning of your end step, create a green ooze with a creature token with this, the same stats as the other thing. So this is kind of coming in, doing its best biogenic ooze impersonation. You can get this down kind of early, and even if it is kind of weak, it can just grow as your battlefield grows. A lot of different ways to do things with this card. I think it's pretty neat. Now, granted, these cards usually suck, so just keep that in mind. But I think it's worth playing, get it down, put some blockers on the battlefield for you to kind of ramp up into your bigger spells. Speaking of bigger spells, we're still playing 2 Cyclone Summoner and 2 Coma. I'm well aware that Cyclone Summoner does not play well with consuming ooze at all. Don't care. We're going to try it out anyways. Close this out. We're playing 2 Jwari Disruption, 2 Asika's Chariot to have some blockers down there, whole play set of Orange Epiphany, 2 Eureka Moment, draw some cards, put land on the battlefield. Let's talk about the new toy we got here, though. We're playing 3 of Wrenn 7. Wrenn 7 is a 5-mana Planeswalker with 5 loyalty. +1, reveal the top 4 cards of your library and put any land card... put all land cards revealed that way into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. 0, put any number of land cards from your hand until the battlefield taps. So you can play this and it just kind of be a big ramp spell. Flush your hand out there. -3, create a green treefolk creature token with reach, and the creature power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. These are such a mouthful, man. -8, the ultimate. Return all permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. You get an emblem with you have no maximum hand size. Pretty cool. You have plenty of mana at that time to cast all the things and just win smack face down. So Wrenn 7 is a 3 of in here. I think this Planeswalker is not very good, to be honest. But in this shell in particular, love it. So we're playing a 3 of there. That's what we got here. I think we got one more deck to talk about. Let's go. All right, last deck we'll talk about here is just some traditional Boros Midrange. Just a good, fair, beatdown plan. This is kind of similar to Boros Burn, but we're way less on the spells. Just playing 6 spells compared to 20-something. And a lot more on the beats, baby. The beats. Starting off here, a whole play set of Falconwrath Pit Fighter. Again, I love this card. Just a 2-1 for 1 on his face is already good. The fact that it has upside is just a bonus. Whole play set of Interpret Adversary. Again, this card is just gas, and you want to play 4 of here. Whole play set of Luminarch Aspirant. We already know this card is gas. 2 Brutal Cathar here. Get that little Skyclave Apparition kind of effect going on. Love it. Whole play set of Elite Spellbinder. Still a good card. We already know that. Playing 2 Gavity Dawnguard here. This is a new one we have to talk about. But this is a 3-mana 3/3 human soldier with Ward 1. If it's either day or night, it becomes day as a Gavity Dawnguard enters the battlefield. Whenever day becomes night or night becomes day, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card with mana value 3 or less from among them and put that into your hand. Put the rest into the bottom of your library in any order. So a 3/3 for 3 is already a solid body. The fact that you can just multiple times be looking at your library and taking things into your hand, super, super good. So we'll play this as a 2-up to try it out. It may want to be 4 of. Maybe it's not aggressive enough and maybe we won't cut it. But I think just trying as a 2-up here is solid. Once again, I'm playing Reckless Stormseeker. This time just as a 2-up because there's multiple things I wanted to try out here. But Stormseeker is gas, and I do love this card. I want to play it. I'm playing 2 Venerable Warstinger here. This is a card that just kind of got overlooked a lot of times, I think, in Strixhaven. But I actually have had a lot of success when I played this thing. 3-mana 3/3 Vigilance and Trample. When it deals combat damage, however much damage you can deal to somebody, you can return a card with X, which has been the damage you dealt. So get your 2 drops to 3 drops right back onto the battlefield. Super nice there. Finally, at the top end, creature-wise, we're playing a whole play set of Blade Historian, give all these things double strike, and go to town and just get somebody killed. Dead. Looking at the spells here, we got 2 Lunar Frenzy, because we got some double strike and trample going on, just like we did with Cleave, baby. Of course, double strike with Blade Historian, otherwise just first strike, but still. Lunar Frenzy, great combat trick, great finisher. Love this card. Finally, 4 Play with Fire, just a better shock once again, is something we want. And 4 Showdown of the Skulls, get some more card draw here, put some counters on our creatures, and get the beats going on. That's what we got there. It's the last deck we got to talk about, baby. Alright, y'all, so that's 10 new decks for Midnight Hunt Standard. If you saw a deck in particular that you liked, let me know what it is in the comments. Again, thank y'all so much for the support and so much for watching. This is always my favorite time of year. I absolutely love when rotation hits. I get to show off these new decks. It's kind of like an unknown world, and the fact that we get to play best of 3 now from our standard 2022 players, it's going to be good, man. It's going to be real good. So I'm excited for this. Hopefully y'all enjoyed. If you did, like, comment, subscribe. If you got a deck that you want to talk about, best place to do it is on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter, TitansmashMTG. Would really appreciate that. Look forward to talking to y'all. Thanks for watching, y'all. Thanks so much for the support. Love you guys. Again, we'll be doing a different video where we talk all the existing archetype decks from Standard 2022, upgrade those with the new cards and see how they go. Enough yapping, though. My voice is about gone now at this point. This is so much talking. Love y'all. Let's go.